When I first moved to UK at 19, I thought I knew the secret to building a better future. I worked all the time in takeaways, in warehouses, at KFC, driving buses and Ubers. I was completely alone, trying to understand a new country and new accents. I saved every spare penny I could. I was building a small pile of cash, and it felt like a fortress. But here's the truth I had to learn the hard way. That fortress was actually a cage. I wasn't being smart. I was making a huge mistake, the same one I saw others around me making. It was a habit that looked responsible on the surface, but it was financial anchor disguised as a life raft. The problem wasn't that I was lazy or bad with money. I was walking over 2 miles to and from my restaurant job just to save on a bus fare. The problem was that nobody had shown me the full picture. In this video, I'm going to break down the simple free change in the mindset, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can do it too, starting today. If you're working hard and stuffing money into a savings account thinking that's the path to getting rich, you really need to watch this. And hey, if you get some value from this and want more direct, no-nonsense advice, do me a quick favor. Hit those like and subscribe button. It's a tiny click for you, but it makes a huge difference for the channel. Alright, let's get right into it. The habit we are talking about is hoarding cash. It's prioritizing saving over everything else because it feels safe. It's the belief that the best place for your money is in the savings account, where you can see it, where the numbers can't go down, where you are working rolling shifts at takeaway, doing the job of 2 people because a colleague called in sick. The idea of losing even a single pound is terrifying. The psychology here is powerful. We are taught to fear loss in finance. This is called loss aversion, where studies show that the pain of losing money feels about twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining the same amount. Fear is a powerful driver. We see headlines about stock market crashes, and our natural instinct is to run for the safety of a bank. That's exactly what I did. We opened saving account, maybe even a high yield one, and we diligently transfer money into it. We feel secure as the balance grows. We think we are building fortress of financial stability. But what we don't see is a silent sabotager working from the inside 24/7. That sabotager is inflation. Inflation is a silent tax that reduces the real value of your money. It's why a meal that cost a few quid when we were young now costs more than a tenner. The pound itself is simply worth less. It has less purchasing power. This means that while the number in your bank account might be going up, what you can actually buy with that money is steadily going down. Think of it like this. Your saving account is a bucket where you are trying to fill it with the water, but there's a small constant leak at the bottom. That leak is inflation. So even if your saving account is earning, say, 4% interest, but inflation is running at 3%, you are only really gaining 1% in purchasing power. If inflation is higher than your interest rate, you are actively getting poorer. Your money is losing value. This is the great deception. The habit of just saving feels safe, but it's one of the riskiest things you can do with your money long term. You think you are protecting your wealth, but you are actually just letting its value get quietly eroded year after year. The real cost of playing it safe. This is the math that reveals the 6-figure or even 7-figure mistake. Let's imagine 2 people in their 20s, Sarah the saver, Ian the investor. Both are 25 and both put away £500 every single month for their future. Sarah the saver is cautious. She's heard about horror stories about market crash. So she puts her £500 into a safest place she can think, a high yield saving account. Let's be extremely generous and say she finds an account that averages a 4% interest over next 40 years. Historically, savings rates have been much lower, but we want to give her strategy every advantage. Ian the investor, on the other hand, understands that while the stock market is volatile day to day, over the long run, it's been one of the more powerful wealth building tools ever created. He puts £500 a month into a simple low-cost global index fund. He isn't picking stocks, he's just buying a tiny piece of world's largest companies. Historically, global stock markets have returned about 9 to 10% per year on average. So let's be conservative and use the 9% average annual return for Ian. So both are putting £6,000 a year. Let's fast forward 40 years to when they are 65. First, Sarah the saver for 40 years, she saved diligently. Her account balance only ever went up after 40 years of contributing £500 a month and earning that every generous 4% interest. Sarah will have about £595,000. Not bad at all. She put in £240,000 of her own money and has a nice nest egg. Now, let's turn to Ian, the investor. He definitely had some ups and downs. There were years in his portfolio dropped, but he stuck with his plan, automating his £500 investment every month. For those same 40 years, with his 9% average annual return, would have a grand total of approximately 2.1 million. Let that sink in. 2.1 million pounds. By making one simple change, investing in a broad market index fund instead of hoarding cash, Ian ended up with over 1.5 million more than Sarah. It's a 7-figure difference. This is the power of compound growth. The gap between 4% and 9% doesn't sound huge, but over decades, it creates a financial Grand Canyon. This was my light bulb moment. I was working all those jobs, building my £500,000 future completely blind, all because of a misplaced fear. The real risk wasn't investing, it was not investing. The simple mindset shift that changes everything. The solution here isn't complicated, it's a simple mindset shift. You have to stop thinking of yourself as a saver and start thinking of yourself as an investor. A saver's goal is to not lose money. An investor's goal is to make their money work for them. A saver sees their cash as a shield. An investor sees their money as an army of little employees sent out to come back with friends. A saver fears volatility. An investor understands volatility is the price you pay for a higher long-term returns. This shift is everything. The fear of investing is normal, but it's usually based on false idea. For most of us, true investing is the opposite of gambling. It's methodical, it's long-term, and it should be kind of boring. The goal isn't to find the next big thing. The goal is to simply own a tiny piece of the entire market and let it grow over time. You do this with an index fund or an ETF. Think of it as a basket that holds hundreds of different stocks, so you are instantly diversified. When you buy a global or S&P 500 index fund, you are not betting on one company. You are betting on the long-term growth of the world's largest companies. Some will fail, but history has shown that the basket as a whole consistently moves up over the long periods. To get over the fear, you have to accept one thing. The market will go down sometimes. It's a normal part of the cycle. But you also have to look at the data. Time is the ultimate risk reducer. And in your 20s, the time is your single greatest asset. Every pound you invest today is far more powerful than a pound you invest 10 or 20 years from now. Thanks to compounding, it's the decision to point the money you are already saving for the long term into a growth engine instead of a leaky basket. Your 3-step action plan to start today. Okay, so how do we put this into practice? Abandoning savings. This isn't about abandoning savings. Saving is critical, but it has a specific job. Here's a simple 3-step action plan. Step 1. Build your safety net the right way. Before you invest a penny, you need an emergency fund. This is the only long-term money that belongs in cash. This fund is what stops you from having to sell a car, going into your overdraft, which I experienced myself. The rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months worth of essential living expenses. Here's the key. This money must be in a high-yield saving account. If saving 6 months of expenses sounds impossible, just start with £1,000. That buffer gives you incredible peace of mind. This fund is your defense. Now, let's build your offense. Automate your wealth machine. This is the core of the strategy. Once your emergency fund is in good place, every pound for long-term goals like retirement needs to be invested. The easiest way to start is by opening a tax-efficient investment account like a stocks and shares ISA. Here's how to automate it. Open a stocks and shares ISA. You can do this in about 15 minutes online with a low-cost provider, even from your bank. Choose your investment. Don't get paralyzed. Start with a simple, broad market, low-cost index fund. A global S&P 500 tracker fund is a perfect place to begin. Set up automatic transfers. This is crucial. Decide how much you can invest each month. and set up an automatic transfer. This is paying yourself first, and it takes emotion out of equation. If your employer offers a workplace pension with a matching contribution, that is your number one priority. A company match is literally free money. Do not leave it on the table. Contribute enough to get the full match. Step 3. Define your why and stay the course. Investing is a long game. Your biggest enemy won't be a market crash. It will be your own emotions. This is where having a clear purpose becomes your anchor. My why was getting a high value skill so I could get a better job and buying my first home. That goal made the struggle of learning to code while driving Uber feel small. Always remember your goal. Your struggle will feel insignificant once you achieve it. And remember this, when the market is down, every pound you automatically invest buys more shares. You are buying your future wealth at a discount. Trust the process, trust the data, and let your automated system do the work. For years, I proudly watched my savings account grow. I was playing it safe, but I was also playing it small. The single most important lesson I learned is that real safety isn't in hoarding cash, it's in harnessing growth. By being terrified of losing a little money temporarily, I was guaranteeing I would lose a lot of purchasing power permanently to the inflation. The change costs nothing. It's redirecting the money you are already saving from a leaky bucket into a powerful engine. I went from driving Uber and saving to investing my time to learn a skill which led to a software engineering job and the ability to invest my money properly. The numbers don't lie. A few percentage points in your annual return compounded over decades is the difference between a comfortable retirement and life-changing wealth. It is a 6-figure and potentially 7-figure decision that is completely in your control. You have the time, you have the knowledge. Now all you need is to take action. Start today, not Monday. Today. See you in the next one.